Hello? Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. It's your boy Carcino, man. Let's talk about it. First off, let's get things all in perspective for a minute. Let's look at Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is one of the top 2 guards in the NBA. He's the man. Now, it was proven this year that Kyrie fit in Boston. He's proven he fit in Cleveland. He's somewhere you could put on a team and he would fit. But I just cannot see him fitting in San Antonio. Just can't see it. Under the tutelage of Pop. One, that he would stay there and like playing in San Antonio. Now, everyone keeps asking me, was this report true that they turned down a deal to trade Kyrie over for Kawhi Leonard? Kyrie and Kawhi are 2 players that don't really talk that much. So they're being talked about the most in the last 48 hours. Everybody got stories and reports on them. Now, is Kyrie seeking a trade? No. Is Kawhi seeking a trade? Yes. But both of their names keep coming up. Now, if you're San Antonio, this deal is striking to you. This is a deal you're interested in. And if you're Boston, this deal is very interesting to you. Because if you get rid of Jaylen Brown and you get rid of Kyrie Irving, you've now cleared space for your team and the players that you already have. Gordon Hayward could be the star you want him to be, or have the platform to be the star you want him to be. Kawhi Leonard can assist him this season. You're probably looking at it as if we're going to lose Kyrie Irving at the end of the year. That's probably how they're looking at it. And from the attitude Kyrie had at the presser, him staying in Boston might not be very long term. He seems very frustrated. So with that being said, we have to look at everything in perspective and take it how it comes. Meaning, from trying to ask, nobody has had any contact on Kyrie's side about a trade or him being moved. They don't know where that came from. Or why was it even reported? But the trade would make sense. It would make sense that San Antonio would try to get a player instead of keeping Kawhi Leonard on the team all next season, to look to move him for anybody else. Only Boston could risk him leaving at the end of the year. They don't really need Kawhi Leonard to build a team. He would just be an additional piece. And if they could get him for Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie might be leaving at the end of the year anyway, so you might lose Kyrie. So yeah, a trade would make sense. So for anybody who was looking at this from another perspective, no, this makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I would hate to see Kyrie Irving leave Boston, but it would definitely make a lot of sense. if they were to do the trade. And it would tell me that Boston is not committed to signing Kyrie Irving to a long-term deal at the end of this year, because I'm quite sure Kyrie Irving is going to want a max deal. Gordon Hayward already has this max deal. So Boston already have one. Now, what are you going to do next season after this season's over? Do you go into this season with Kyrie Irving fully? I say yes, because Rozier showed you that he cannot start. He's not a starting guard. He's a come off the bench guy. Role player. He's not somebody that can take you to that next level. And when they needed somebody to really turn it up and do it, they couldn't get him. And we really never got a chance to see if Gordon Hayward meshed well in the offense, with these guys. We never really seen Gordon do his thing yet. So he still has to really gel with the team. In the first game, he breaks his leg. And that's sad, man. And plus, what does that show your team? If this is true, and why would you let that go out and you don't see anybody from Boston trying to defend it? Something's wrong here. Something is very wrong. Now, Danny Ainge is you saw what happened with Isaiah Thomas. You would think they would want to avoid that twice. Because if you trade Kyrie Irving and you get Kawhi Leonard in there, and Kawhi does not do what Kyrie Irving was doing, and you already know Kawhi is leaving at the end of the year, the fans in Boston will be irate and want Danny Ainge's head. See, here's the thing about Boston. They're 99.9% sports. Everyone, from male to female, they are vested in sports. They're probably the number one place for sports. Boston is just a sports area, sports everything. They don't care who joins them. They don't want you to join them. They just want to be Boston, and that's it. And it's all sports. And being a plumber. That's it. If you're not you're not installing a toilet or a roof and playing sports, you're not Boston. Now, 99.9% of Boston fans are all into sports. That 1%, God help them. Only about 3% actually know anything about sports or know anything about the actual sport. All the boxing writers, everybody else go to the university, and they all come from Boston. Most of them writers, journalists, all the fans, they sit courtside. They don't miss a Bruins game. They don't miss a Celtics game. They don't miss anything. Boston College games, anything. But no, probably 2% of the actual game. They couldn't sit there and tell you a business deal in the game or a transaction on what it would take to get this player. Their whole brains would collapse. Now, here's the news. Boston will always be what they are. And that is Boston. The Celtics. That's it. That's all they ever going to be. The Celtics are going to be a team that never has any more loyalty to its players. That's it. they look at this as a business and you got to go, if you're not doing something that we think you should be doing, you have to go. That is how they're going to do it. That's how they're going to run it. It's not going to change. And none of it's going to stop. So if anybody else wants to come by and try to trade for Kyrie Irving, they're going to listen to trades for anybody. They're going to trade Marcus Smart. They ain't going to have no loyalty to Big Al when it comes down to it. They're not going to have any loyalty to any of these players anymore because they've shown that the players have had no loyalty towards them for years. So with that being said, they're going to sit there and they're going to have all of these different intangibles put in place. And what we're saying is when you have different intangibles, they're going to be looking to always improve, stay young, because they're going to have to sign people like Tatum. And when Tatum is up, I'm quite sure Boston's going to want to keep him. They're going to keep everybody for the low. Try to get them to negotiate to keep a low, keep a low payroll as much as they can. But they know players are going to rotate. Every 3-4 years, teams are going to change. Every 3 to 4 years, teams are going to change. As you see, Golden State is getting ready to go into their final year. They've been fortunate to keep this team around and stuck together and made changes and pieces and been able to keep guys there for like 5 years, if not longer, only because they did it through the draft. Now, you got the ancillary players that you have on your team now to try to build it like Boston has. A Kawhi Leonard would come in and give you what? Defense you already have. He plays that system that they're playing with Brad Stevens. He would fit right in perfectly. And they would be in an NBA Finals. He was somebody that could possibly get them that basket. But how injured was he? And let's say he's 100%. Has he been injury prone? Yes, he has been. He's a two-way player. Very long extension on his arms. Plays great defense. Know how to get to the spots he needs to get to score. Really no flaw to his game. He can shoot the three when it's available, but he doesn't need to. He doesn't really shoot that many when he does play. He plays within his zone and his comfort level. He's going to get you 20-some points, 12 rebounds a game. He's going to guard and defend very well on the star player of the other team. He makes it a lot easier for you on the court. So, for me, it's a no-brainer. I would not do this trade if I'm Boston, just because of the risk factor. You bringing in a guy who you know is gonna leave at the end of the year. So his mind is not thinking Boston. The camaraderie, the actual bond that Kyrie has built with the Boston Celtics, the city, the team, to split that up and bring in a guy who is looked at as an attitude problem and a locker room problem because of what happened with the Spurs. You bring that into a situation where some of the players are going to feel a certain way with ownership about the trade. So they have to learn and get used to Kawhi, who doesn't have that type of personality of, like, I'm going to open up and get used to the guys. They'd rather be there with the guy that got them through the trenches. But it is what it is. So on that note, It's your boy Carcino, man. I didn't want to take up that much of your time, but a lot of you guys been asking me these questions. Then there's a new question saying Kyrie didn't want LeBron to come back to Cleveland. I told y'all that years ago. That's known fact. It's not a breaking news report. See what happened when they have nothing to report? They go crazy and just start making up crazy stuff. That stuff is old as Methuselah. I'm like, are you kidding? Everybody knew that. They lied to keep him in the contract. He was mad about LeBron coming back because, one, they lied to him. He would have never signed the extension. They told him he signed an extension. The very next week, LeBron James announced he's coming back to Cleveland. And they had known. And Kyrie was like, look, you knew. They was like, we didn't know what he was going to do. He's like, they just sat there in the office telling me how it's my team and we believe in you. That's why we signing you to this extension. We're going to build a team around you. And you're the star. You're the guy that's going to get us to the championship. And, you know, it's your team. And then the next week, LeBron announces he's coming back to Cleveland. So, yeah, that's how that went. He was never on board, and he never was brought on there, but he was a team player and said, okay, well, we're going to make this work. But it was a learning curve. But I'm going to get out of here because I think this video is probably long enough. I don't know how long it is, but it's got to be long. I don't want to keep y'all that long. Y'all be getting mad at me. All right, I'm out.